Well, I want to go over a couple things I've learned about my experience with Miss GoldDigger, the cat, Tiffany GoldDigger, whatever. I call her Missy, Sparky, what I call her all kinds of names. Really love this cat, but she, this was back, you know, I'm realizing she had a lot of serious issues way back when, probably pre-cancerous when she arrived. This was December 18th, 2017. Talking about GoldDigger the cat and Putin, Carbon C60 Purple Power. And I don't know if you could pick it up that well over here, but I know like right around this area by her ear or behind her neck, and actually under her chin, she had all these black dots. And there was redness on the fur. And I was saying here, this was mid-December 2017, December 18th, and probably for a few days I've already given her Carbon C60, and she was getting better.
All right, here's GoldDigger the cat. I just got my C60 purple power in when I did.
So that was December 18th, 2017. Okay, here she is before the time. She's up on a sailboat, you know.
There's Miss GoldDigger's new place. She likes to hang out on the boat.
Yeah, she loves that. But and this was probably her daddy here, Panda Cat. But the thing is, here's another thing I picked up on. This was December 12th, 2017. Notice her fur? See the red over here? There was also a lot of these little black dots. That was like from blood or something coming out of the skin or oozing out of the skin. Like not a blood, but a little bit. Like there was this irritation. That's why the vet back in November 2017, that was a month before this, gave her this Convenia antibiotic shot. And it didn't do nothing. This was a precancerous, or maybe you'll call, really probably the term is it's all cancer, but it's like a little bit of cancer mixed in with normal cells. Maybe that's a better way of describing precancer, maybe. But she had serious issues way back 2 years ago, and now I'm realizing what I did with the Carbon C60 was the main thing probably keeping her alive all this time. So here she is.
You know what, Missy? You're a little what, huh? You know what, Missy? You're literally more work than 5 male cats put together. You know that?
So this is where I was saying she's more work than 5 male cats put together. But this was because she was mainly eating the gravy from the food. It wasn't. She'd eat the mushy parts of the food too, but it seemed like her tongue was working. I mean, but there seemed to be some kind of issue with. There might have been some minor issue with the tongue at that time. Nowhere near like what it was recently. And here, this is now just 2 or 3 days after I got the purple power. Here I put Carbon C60 working great on GoldDigger the cat, right?
Much better since I gave her that purple power C60. I've been giving her pretty strong. This cat GoldDigger seems so much better since I gave her that purple power C60. I've been giving her pretty strong doses of it too. I just gave her some more. She seems to be a little more lively and peppy. I noticed with her tail, it's moving around more.
So that was almost 2 years ago. So now, even before this, I looked at a video on October 11th. She was only here about a week, maybe. Like she got here, I think the first video I did was October 4th, 2017. And I think she got here the day before that. I think I didn't do a video on it, right, at that time. So, October 11th, 2017, I was giving her some of the Doc Willard water. Then there was other videos where I saw I was giving her the hemp oil and stuff. But the main thing was the Carbon C60. Now, if you look, you can even Google, I think it's 1985. The New York Times was even saying that it had anti-cancerous, anti-tumor properties for cancer. Now, I want to talk about, there's something I picked up on that I did not know about till now. She was totally empty inside inside of her, even though I was feeding her a lot more food than her calorie requirement was for the last 9 days, or more than that, because I think it was September 1st when I said she's really eating a lot more. So, um, you know, she was wasting away anyway. Even I guess it was more than 2 weeks. I was feeding her a good amount of food, but I was really getting a lot in there from the last 9, 10 days before that, and then she died. And she was still wasting away, and inside of her was empty. That I couldn't figure out, but that's a condition they call cachexia. It's Cachexia. It kind of rhymes with anorexia, but it's got a C in front of it, sort of like the word anorexia. It's a wasting away. It could be from cancer, AIDS, or things like that, but what goes on is the actual cancer is consuming the food. So that makes me think, maybe the spooky Fanatron didn't work well, or maybe it didn't. Maybe I didn't get the right equipment fast enough. But the cancer, it's typical with extremely. If you have a real advanced cancer case, I don't know, it'll tell you like 50% to 80%, and I'm not even talking about chemotherapy where you're getting like a skinny. You will get this cancer eating the foods you consume. Now, here's something I did not know. Well, I did know this, but I didn't know it as much, maybe, as I know it now. You don't want to feed cancer with sugars. I know there's some things out there, sometimes you see in the mainstream, they'll tell you the brain requires sugar, and, you're talking about, you want to make sure you got mainly proteins and fats, maybe a little bit of sugars. You want to discourage the cancer from eating the sugars. But somehow, even with all the best cat food I could get my hands on, and all the herbal combinations and things that, even with Carbon C60 was put in the cat food, I mean, there was like a couple tablespoons of that stuff in there. I mean, it was like a double human dose, for crying out loud. The CBD oil and everything, the cancer was consuming the food, and that was creating, they'll tell you classically, that creates a lactic acid. Now, when I picked up on that thing about the cancer was consuming the food and creating, her actual food intake was being consumed by the cancer, and it was creating lactic acid. Then I started thinking about, this is her, like,
Dookie, are you hungry? Guess what? I think she's all healed up now.
she was 100% healed back in June 17. I couldn't believe this, nothing was wrong with her back then. It appeared to be, but I was still giving her the Carbon C. Well, the Carbon C60 just stopped maybe 2 weeks before that, but she still had it in her system. She was in her system for about 30 days. But getting back to the food issue, one thing I could have done that could have made a difference is this. I should have gotten her pure turkey or chicken people food, put that in the coffee grinder, in other words, pure protein, then added fish oil to it, then added the herbal formula, the colostrum, what I was giving her, the iodine. I was doing that anyway. I didn't skip doing that. The kelp. But if I would have gave her pure protein and fat with no carbohydrate, that would have made it much more difficult for the cancer to consume the food. And this is something else. I know you hear about Dr. Tullio Simoncini from Italy talking about, I disagree with the part that he says the cancer is a fungus, but the baking soda, sodium bicarbonate, is very anti-cancerous. He even has ways to administer the bicarbonate by IV, intravenous. If I was able to do that, that would have been great, but I don't know how to do IV. That probably could have helped a lot, keeping her hydrated, or maybe IV vitamin C. But I was giving her Live on Labs liposomol vitamin C, 3 to 5 packs a day, which is like having a lot of vitamin C by IV. And what else was there? The Dr. Willard water, the catalyzed water. Actually, I was giving her that stuff off and on, even all the time. But recently I was giving it to her every day. I was making two 16-ounce bottles of it, spraying in the corners of her mouth. That should work. It's very alkalizing. It's an environment cancer doesn't like. So I'm thinking the only thing I could have done better is got some people food, which I did get people food, but um, I was giving her, well, I should have taken, I didn't think of doing it the coffee grinder to make the food more palatable so she can get it down past her tongue. But if I would have took, like, say, chicken, pure turkey, canned food for people, ground it up in a coffee grinder, make it so it's really mushy, so she can eat, and then add fish oil to it, and then add the Spark Cancer Support herbal formula from the vet, the Life Gold stuff, the Dr. Willard Water, catalyzed water, the Carbon C60, Life Gold, double strength gold, whatever, that's the best one there is, and the kelp, and the Carbon C60, the Carbon C60, and olive oil. I've added all that after, but you start with, in other words, 100% pure turkey and chicken, and add, the fish oil to it. That would have been a better base, but I didn't know that part. I just, well, what the cat food I got was not, I think it was actually higher quality than the recovery cat food, because recovery cat food that's specializes from the vets, that actually had a lot of carbohydrate in it. So if you have a cat with cancer, you want to make sure you feed her pure protein and fat, and, like, basically skip the freaking carbohydrates. You maybe you'd be better off, because it would turn off this system whereby it would make it much more difficult for the cancer to consume the food. But in either case, anything could get turned back into carbohydrate. The thing is, somehow the cancer was actually eating what I was feeding her. The cancer was eating, despite it was an advanced cancer. She's had some kind of precancerous condition or something. Back in, I'm looking at these things from way back. This is October, and I don't know if you can pick up on, maybe I can't show it on here. I've seen it in some of the videos, but she had, like, gray on her neck, on her top of her neck, and under her chin. It was gray dots or black dots. That was from, like, the skin having a little bit of redness, like something oozing out of it, and that's when they gave her the convenient antibiotic. But it wasn't like just a skin issue. There was some precancerous condition going on with her 2 years ago, and now I'm realizing I thought she was abandoned as a kitten. I thought somebody had this cat and she was a fussy eater or something. Maybe she didn't get along with other cats, and they decided to abandon her. But now it appears that she was abandoned because she was an older cat and diagnosed with something. And what I was doing with her, the number one thing was the Carbon C60. It almost appears that had the best, fastest results. The only reason I stopped that back on June 1st, 2019, was that I started giving her this Sovereign Labs, colostrum. And when I did that in May, she started getting really good, real fast. I mean, even way better than she ever was, because she was starting to go downhill a little bit again in 2019. And that's when I was giving her some of the hemp oil, and I was giving her, there was some French pine bark, which is good for the cats, and a whole bunch of stuff. But I should have never stopped the Carbon C60. If I would have known if I would have known she had some kind of cancer, a little bit of it, like, I guess there's different terms, but precancerous might be something where, maybe it could be best described as there's a little bit of cancer, but the body's fighting it off. And what I gave her, I think she would have only lasted a few months if I didn't start giving her all this stuff when I found her. I was giving her the cat vitamins and Dr. Willard Water and all this type of stuff. I think somebody actually abandoned her because she was diagnosed with some serious problem. And there was I don't know if I can mention it here. Well, it's just a cardboard outside. There's on a bunch of videos I talked about her tail, by her base of her tail. The side of it was bald and there was a big bump on the top. And I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just some kind of infection because she was biting her tail or something. Well, that might not have been what it was. There might have been more of an issue because she had, I don't know if I can show it on here because some places it shows up more. The camera doesn't pick it up as much. This isn't picking it up that well. There's gray. Maybe this is like, yeah, there's a lot of gray right here. There's all these little black dots mixed in her fur. Sometimes you can't pick them up on the camera, but if you're real close, you rub their fur, you'd see it. So she's had some kind of serious issue from day one. And me, I just never picked up on that she was, you know, precancerous or cancerous, slightly cancerous. And on the bottom of her, always felt wet. The bottom, like on her belly, that always felt wet. That totally stopped feeling wet after I gave her the colostrum in May of 2019, mid-May. Now, with me, I never really noticed anything with the Carbon C60. All these people say, oh, these miracles. I took lots of it. I still take it every day. But I was like, so I started thinking maybe this is when I saw the results from the colostrum, but really it was the results from the combination of the colostrum, the Carbon C60, and the cat vitamins. And there was other things I was doing, but not the hemp. I wasn't doing every day. The hemp oil I wasn't doing every day. I wasn't doing the colloidal silver every single day, or the French pine bark, or the kelp, or the iodine, or there was a rotation, but I was pretty damn consistent with the Carbon C60 and the cat vitamins. And the Willard water, I was doing that here and there. But there's a lot of stuff I was doing here and there every day. It might have been something different. But the two things I should have kept up that Carbon C60. That seems to have greatly extended her life. And now I also realize that if you have a cat that develops cancer, and they'll tell you I was reading about some of it, but now it dovetails into other things I've read before. Is that you want to feed it a cat food that has less than 25% carbohydrates, and you're not going to be able to tell that from the canned ingredients. It tells you minimum fat and minimum of protein and moisture content and how much fiber it has, but it doesn't tell you what the carbohydrates are. You can kind of tell from the outside of the can, but the food I was giving her had more protein than even a recovery food that was a specialist from vet. So, but it would have been better if I didn't know that part. That part I didn't know. It would have been better if I would have just gave her pure chicken, but since it's like flaked, you got to take the coffee bean grinder or something, mix it up, or use a little mixer, get it more like a pate and mushy, and also mix it up with some fish oil, and then you'll be able to hand feed her that. And I'm not sure if that would have worked, but I think if I had that and I knew how to do IV with sodium with bicarbonate, you can look at Dr. Tullio Simoncini, also Dr. Circus. Circus is spelled with an S, S-I-R, Circus. And about the baking soda administered by IV. That would have went a long way to helping her out. If I would have known she had cancer, I would have definitely I would have done way more. But as it was, what I was doing, just thinking I wanted Miss GoldDigger Kitty, precious kitty, to live, long time. I was just doing this just to make her live longer sometime in the future. I didn't realize she had serious issues. This actually did help her out. And if you look, this was.
I'm gonna start giving it to my other little kitty cats, and I feel pretty damn good taking this stuff.
This was the colostrum from June 17, 2019. 3 months later, what is it? So I already stopped giving it to her, the Carbon C60, maybe a couple weeks before this, but she was still had the Carbon C60 was still in her system at this time. Even though I stopped giving it to her orally, it's in her system for about 30 days roughly. So I started giving her the colostrum, so she was getting the double whammy there, basically from May. She was getting Carbon C60 all in May of 2019, and I started giving her the colostrum in early May. I started seeing major results. But an ounce of prevention is worth 10 tons of cure. Once it starts, that's why people, they look at these supplements and things, and they say, oh, they don't work. I didn't feel no different. Well, you might be preventing something that is extremely bad. In other words, that's why they don't realize, they don't see the cause effect right away. But the cause effect would be, if you stop taking it, something bad can happen. And to me, the carbons, I did never notice the difference with the Carbon C60 except the eyesight. But obviously there was stuff going on with her that was serious. And I'm looking back in 2017, that's when I started giving her the purple powered Carbon C60 around December 17th or December 18th. And if I would have kept that up this whole time and actually gave her more of it, plus added the colostrum, plus added the iodine, and the CBD oil, in other words, just doing this on a daily basis, all of it. In other words, she probably would have been living years more. And but once an issue starts, it's extremely difficult to reverse. And when the cancer grew so fast that here's another thing too. I was having a problem getting her to drink water on her own, and this was back on this August 15th was a Thursday, 18. So when she got diagnosed with advanced cancer on Thursday, August 15th, 2019, I immediately got her the CBD oil extra strength the next day. And I was giving it to, I gave her 160 human doses inside of 30 days. So she had a lot of that. Then I started picking up on it. I started thinking back that the Carbon C60 was the thing that was keeping this cancer at bay for all along. She's had some issue with the skin all along. She had some kind of minor issue with her tongue all along. She had that bump on the base of her tail. There was some fur coming out of her and stuff, and a lot of that stuff, like more than usual. And she slept a lot more. She was more lethargic. And then when I started giving her the Carbon C60, a lot of things start waking up. But like I said, when I added the colostrum, it was really good. The thing is, I wasn't figuring that the Carbon C60 was that vital. So I started back, so to backtrack again, she was diagnosed with advanced cancer on August 15th, Thursday, 2019. I started deducing about, figuring, hey, this Carbon C60 is what's been really keeping her good. And I says, let me get the Carbon C60 and start rubbing it on her mouth, because I was having a hard time getting her to drink water and stuff. Well, I was doing that Saturday, Sunday morning, wee hours in the morning and stuff. And all of a sudden, I got her to drink water out of a bowl for like 45 minutes straight. That stuff was helping. So, but once you get a condition that it's so far gone, it's very, in other words, if I was doing all of what I'm doing right now, when she was sick with advanced cancer, I was doing, say, maybe, I had all these things beforehand. I could have made her live many more years, but I was not aware that she was an older cat until August 15th, when she was diagnosed with advanced cancer. She's so kitten-like. I just thought she was kind of like a cat that maybe wasn't weaned enough or long enough, or maybe she's a little frail. Okay, so when he looked at the X-ray, and I thought she was clogged up, when I took her to the vet, and I figured, well, get her enema, and I'll just, I ordered enema. I got enema kits coming now because I thought that was going to be an issue, and I could do the enema myself or something, and I'll keep feeding her, feeding her, feeding her. Everything's empty. This is because the cancer was consuming the food. And that's why I guess it's extremely important that if I would have known this part, I would have gotten, but that's one, I don't know if that still would have been enough. I would have used 100% pure turkey or chicken mixed with fish oil, and then put all the herbal concoction from the vet for the holistic vet for cancer support with the Life Gold drops, the CBD oil, the Carbon C60 and olive oil, the iodine, the cat vitamins. But the main food would have been like turkey or chicken pure. And to make it into a pate, I would put it in the coffee green grinder. This is what she was starving even though I was feeding her. This is a condition that happens. It's common with advanced cancer. As a matter of fact, they really can't figure out exactly why that's happening. But again, I want to point out that she could have, in other words, the advanced cancer is eating the food, so you want to make sure there's very little carbohydrates in it, maybe none. And the other thing is, you want to, if you have, if you're a medical professional, you can do the bicarbonate. That would be something more powerful than, anything you can put doing an IV by IV. Then you can do orally. I was doing the Doc Willard water orally, and I think that was doing a great job, to tell you the truth. It was very alkalizing, like baking soda water. But, that's the one thing. I should have, I was totally floored by looking at that X-ray that she was empty. And, she was getting like, on an average of 300 calories a day. And so for a 10-pound cat indoor, 200 calories is average, is needed. For indoor cat, 10 pounds. She's not even, she was like 8 pounds. Actually, she was 6.5 pounds when we weighed her the last time. And so I'm thinking, it's unexplained by science or medical why the cancer really does this, but I can pretty much understand why, because other people kind of do know why. The cancer is feeding off the sugars. And you'll see a lot of denial about this in some of the mainstream, that the cancer that's a myth and stuff. Well, that's not a myth. And you want to actually make sure the food is very, very low carbohydrate if you have a cancer cat, especially with a cat. A cat is more protein. A cat is a carnivore. It's meat. Cat, if you just, if you got the right vitamins in there, you got some fish oils, and you give them pure protein, chicken, turkey, whatever, that's a really good food for them. So here I was feeding her, and she was eating the Whiskas Perfectly chicken, and I just kept adding, it said Missy the cat more work than 5 male cats. She kept eating the gravy part. She would hardly eat the meaty parts of the chicken. And that is because she was having some kind of minor issues with her tongue back then. This was back in October 11th, 2017. So, and she had the redness on the fur. Not always picked up on the camera. Sometimes you could pick it up on the camera from different angles. You can see a lot of gray on the fur. And those are the little black dots mixed in there. It was up near the neck and underneath, like on her back, or upper back, and under her chin. And when I gave her the Carbon C60, so I wanted to look when the hell I started that. I knew it was at least, yeah, you can see here's the fur is a little reddish here. But I knew I was giving her, this is right before the Carbon C60. This is December 12th, 2017. All this redness over here under the fur. And like I said, that stupid shot, well, it wasn't a stupid shot. It's the right shot to give for skin infections from the vet. Convania didn't do nothing. This was not there's something else going on. Her body functions were not doing that well back then in 2017. This is why I think she was. I think this is why she was abandoned, not because she was a kitten, because she was an older cat with issues. So now probably if I kept the Carbon C60 up and I did the CBD oil and I did the colostrum every day, she would be 100% perfect right now for I don't know how much longer. The ounce of prevention is worth a ton of cure. It's ridiculous. So, but you know, if you have a cat and it starts getting the cancer, I'm going to say that do not give, you know, even this recovery cat food from the vet, it's got a lot of carbohydrate in it. And there's people out there saying, I know they're talking about that cancer was eating her food. Her food. She was wasting away. Her cancer was eating her food. And you know, I guess the two things that could have been done beyond was to get her to pure chicken, put the fish oil in it, grind it up in the coffee grinder so it's nice pate, mushy and stuff. Feed her that with all the concoctions and stuff, but mainly the more 100% protein and fat, 100% protein with some fat, no carbs. And then if you have, you know, the medical expertise to administer bicarbonate, that would, you know, knock out cancer in the blood level too. And it would go around all the cells and stuff, and because we have the bicarbonate in the cells, it's going to go around and work against tumors in any area of the body and any wherever cancer would be. But I don't know how to do IV. I don't know how to do IV, and Dr. Tullio Simoncini, he did this in Italy for great success, but you know, then he got in trouble. In Italy, you actually have a lot more leeway in what you can do medically. So, just wanted to say, you know, there was a couple more things I could have done, and actually, if I would have known. Now I'm looking back at this, but I got these other cats. I'm looking at all these cats. I mean, I had problems with boots, getting clobbered a couple times, and you had to get nursed back from near death. And there's a lot of things going on. I'm not just you know, taking care of cats. I'm doing a million different things. And you know, when I got demonetized in YouTube, that was right at the time this issue popped up with her. It was like this issue popped up with her, and then like 3 days later, I got, you know, I didn't still didn't know she had advanced cancer. 3 days later, I get demonetized on YouTube, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on, what's going on, what's going on. So that was sidetracking me. And but again, if you have a cat with advanced cancer, you know, what I would do is I would get, and this is per some of the experts, I would get, you know, they say make sure you get a food that's under 25% carbohydrate. I'd get a food that's basically zero carbohydrate. Make my own concoction. I'd take pure chicken, canned chicken from people, add some fish oil to it, add the Carbon C60 fullerenes and olive oil, the Spark herbal carbonation for the polyistic fat, the Life Gold drops, the cat vitamins, and the colostrum, and some Lugol's iodine or kelp, and laetrile. That's about, you know, but I would have started with a base of food. Now, the food I was giving her, I think, was higher quality. It had more protein than, that's why I wasn't using that recovery food. I was quite aware of, you know, the issue with having too much carbohydrates and sugars in the food, whatever it is, and cancer. But I didn't realize, you know, it floored me that the cancer was still eating up all the food I was giving her. It just totally floored me, despite doing the Willard Water. It's like, once it gets to a stage that is that bad, maybe it can be reversed. But I said you're gonna have to use pure protein and fat food, and do IV with sodium with bicarbonate, and you have to really know medical stuff to do IVs, and that might have made a difference. Also, maybe if I have, you know, I actually ordered the spooky scaler just the other day for her specifically, But I'll have that in the future in case, there's any other cat problem that comes up. And I do want to say this. GoldDigger, she probably saved my life. What I'm thinking is, by me doing this with her, okay, I have the best CBD oil in the world, double strength gold, and I started giving her that. I just bought another bottle, so I'm going to wind up taking it. I would have never bought the spooky Fanatron bulb that works correctly with the cancer. That could come in handy for me or my other cats. Or I would have got the spooky Wraith, what do you call it, scaler. And now I'm also aware of, a little more acutely aware of certain things. She probably has said, and I'm not going to stop the Carbon C60 myself because I'm thinking it's kind of like BS. But now I'm realizing it may not be, not in the least. Because this Carbon C60 was the main thing that was actually saving her. I'm looking back at how it was perking her up. The issues with her fur were disappearing, but not all the way. Because if I would have kept up Carbon C60 and did the colostrum and the cat vitamins and the Doc Willard water and maybe CBD oil and the cat vitamins, and she gets good food. That Whisker's Perfectly Chicken is pretty good food. You gotta remember, some of this really good food they don't like. My guys, I put that healthy banquet in front of Putin. It's like, where's my Friskies? So I got to give them other stuff to. These guys like Friskies. I can't believe it. I tried the better stuff. They like Friskies and Meow Mix, junk food junkies, man. But they give them a lot of other stuff. But that's the thing. I mean, I did do the whole 9 yards. I know that. The only thing I guess I screwed up on is that I should have picked up earlier that she was an older cat, and it'd be nice. The vet should be able to know this better than me. Like, I took the vet the first time, and I said she was born February 15th, 2017. So I'm taking her to the vet November 2017, and I'm thinking she's not even a year old. They should have told me this cat's over. This is not a kitten. They should have told me that, because I said I don't know. I have no idea. But they don't. There's a lot of things these vets they don't tell you. Even this last vet I went to, I'm trying to feed this cat, and they tell me, "Oh, we got special food that it's more mushy and stuff." And I was like, "Why don't you tell me this crap before?" And I actually had to tell the vet to do the IV when she was in there a few times. They don't do it on their own. The other thing is, if I had an IV kit, I was doing IV myself every day, maybe I could have saved her. But there's a few more things I could have done that, I didn't really think of. Well, I knew I couldn't do the IV. That's why I was doing the Doc Willard water. It's lignite activated water. It's far more absorbable than regular water. So, shit, I was working on that for 2 hours a day, for crying out loud. Easy. I was giving her a few 16-ounce bottles in the corner of her mouth. Plus, she was drinking water herself. That's another thing. Cancer with cats, they drink a lot of water. And the type of water I was giving her was alkaline. It was actually raised 2 alkaline points. So it should have been very much anti-cancerous, and it is. It is. The thing is that her cancer progressed to such a degree that no matter what I did, it was way advanced. And like I said, even back in 2017, there was something going on with this cancer, even way back when. I think that was why she was abandoned. The Carbon C60 was reversing stuff. I'm looking back at these videos. It's cool that I did this stuff because I could see what was going on with her from way back. This thing gonna come on. Anyway. Hey, freaking computer. But the Carbon C60 was doing a hell of a job. I'm using an XP computer, so the hell with it. XP is freaking extreme. I don't care. I mean, I got other computers, but I like using this one for stuff. And anyway, the the thing is that I highly recommend this Carbon C60 a lot. It's like people say it don't work. I was thinking it didn't do that much, but obviously it seems to be doing something that's preventative, something that doesn't crop up later. And it did liven her up a lot. Oh, there's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. So anyway, that's a wrap. We just want to point out why she was, because the vet should have actually known this, because he says, how could she be empty when I'm feeding her about 300 calories a day, which is about 50% more than supposedly her daily requirement is? How can she be empty? I just fed her after midnight, and here it is, 10 o'clock in the morning. She's empty, empty. You know, and she, I'm also trying to feed. It was got to the point where I was trying to feed her, and she's trying to poop, and there's, her whole system was breaking down from the cancer. It's like the cancer was eating her vitals for nutrition. And it's like they don't understand how this really works, where it gets on this metabolism whereby the food you put in her gets consumed by the cancer. That's very important, that you want to make sure that food is very low in carbohydrate, or maybe in my case, what I would have done, I would have made sure there was no carbohydrates in there. I guess that was the one thing I should have actually done, but that I didn't do. But I did get her good cat food that was low in carbohydrates, but I should have got it with none. But I don't know, even that could have probably not done the job. But now, like I said, when I started giving her the Carbon C60 Purple Power, here it is.
This cat GoldDiggers seems so much better since I gave her that Purple Power C60. I've been giving her pretty strong doses of it too. I just gave her some more. She seems to be a little more lively and happy. I noticed with her tail, it's moving around more and stuff, and she seems more alert, inquisitive. So maybe it's working, man. I think.
See, that was December 19th, 2017. She was getting the Carbon C60 for a few days. She's already having results. See that? That stuff. So, to me, that stuff is legit. You'll hear a lot of reports about animals that can't jump on the bed. It's an old dog or something, then it can do that again, no problem, because it has a Carbon C60. Anyway, this is a wrap. I'm just doing this as, I should have never stopped the Carbon C60, man. I really didn't really. To me, it looked like it wasn't doing nothing to me, but maybe it is doing something for me. I'm not stopping that stuff, man. Jeez, now I'm scared to stop it because I don't know. It goes and you have all this cancer growing real fast because you stopped it. Who the hell knows? Anyway, over and out. So again, the cancer consumes the food. That's why there was nothing in her. The cancer was actually eating her food, even though I was giving her 50% more than her average daily requirement. That cancer was eating her food. And there's probably some better equipment now that I got. I got the Fanatron bulb, I got the scoop scaler, and I got the knowledge that we're gonna have to give if any cat gets cancer, we're gonna have to give them. I'm gonna give them 100% protein. This way to get better quicker, maybe. Hopefully they'll. Sometimes it's a small thing that gets you over the edge, just like with business or anything else. When you win the Olympics, you got a lot of heavy competitors right against you, right? Isn't that not a fact? In other words, when you win the Olympics, they don't care about all the people that got second, third, fourth, fifth place and all that kind of garbage. You got to actually win. And she is, I didn't win the Olympics here, but I got pretty close, I think. But it's a small. It's another 9 yards, another 10 yards, or whatever. That's what gets you that first place. And it's small things that can add up to a win. So we shall see here. Anyway, just remember that I would say pure protein people food, and make your own cat food concoction if you got a cat with cancer, because once it gets on this Cachexia or whatever it is, it's CACHE, anorexia, it's like an anorexic thing where you're wasting away. People get this. It's in extreme advanced cancer patients, 80% of them have this wasting away. They don't really, the science doesn't quite understand it, but when I picked up that lactic acid is involved, where the cancer is producing lots of lactic acid, I do know that sodium bicarbonate is good for counteracting lactic acid buildup, because it works with sports recovery when you have too much lactic acid in the system. So that, so if you were a medical expert and you could do intravenous with bicarbonate, that might be the thing that really changes the whole world, with your kitty or person or whatever it is. But, that's the type of stuff you're not going to really get in a hospital. That's another problem. So, too simple, too cheap. But Miss Kitty is doing quite well on his Carbon C60 stuff.
Bet you don't flush the toilet by covering it up. You're slow.
She's on litter box there. But but she was getting a hell of a lot better with that Carbon C60 back in December. This is weird. Now I'm thinking I probably gave this cat another 2 years of life without even realizing it. I just thought she was, I could have, well, anyway. Boy, I gotta watch these guys like a hawk. So, anyway, over now.